if we just keep copying everybody else, we're all just same, and we're just all fighting in this very shallow swimming pool of just sameness, and everybody's vying to try and be seen or heard. But if you can create an opportunity through a strategic alliance or a joint venture or a collaboration that nobody else has thought to done, and link your brand to a much bigger brand than yours and get that nationwide or get that global reach, I mean, that is an incredible, exciting opportunity for your business and your brand, and could escalate your business 10 times or 100 times, you know, what it was just by piggybacking off somebody else's database. And hello and welcome to our podcast, Connected with Melissa J. Scott. Today I am speaking with myself because this is something that I know a lot about. It is creating bigger audiences from other people's audiences for you. So people can call this strategic alliances. It might be a joint venture. I like to call it collaboration. What I don't want to do is get confused between what networking is when you go to a networking event and just like tossing business cards around at everybody, and actually creating meaningful relationships with people that you know that you can help and they can help you back, and doing that really strategically and really consciously, so everybody is a winner in the situation. Now that's what a strategic alliance is. So straight up, I want to articulate that. I know a lot of people in business circles think they can go to a networking event and meet a lot of people, and they feel like they're really reaching out. And even with an organization like BNI, for instance, where it's, you know, a strategic thing where people are supposed to be giving referrals to each other, and it's something that you're kind of actually forced into doing. That's not a strategic alliance because it's not coming from a heart-centered place, and we really, really want to. I mean, the whole theme of this podcast is about connection. So what I want to do with all my clients and with myself and with the people that I work with is to have an actual meaningful, conscientious connection with the person that I'm doing business with and that I'm proposing to do some kind of like split of services with, so that I can get in front of your database and you can get in front of my database, and between us we can expand and grow really quickly. Because the theme for 2021, for me anyway, is going to be collaboration, because we can try and grow our businesses and go forward meaningfully and go forward fast. But when you do it alone, A, it's boring. It's nowhere near as fun. And B, it's a slower, harder grind. And you're often getting in front of an audience that you have to sort of buy initially through either Facebook ads or, you know, just getting in front of people, any kind of advertising that you might do. Whereas if you're actually going through as a warm lead, as a guest of somebody else, you know, because it's their database and they've already got the respect and the hearts and minds of that audience, that's a much warmer, more nurtured audience who's going to just trust and believe the message that you have based on the relationship that you've got with that person. So that's what a strategic alliance is, or collaboration. And it's really important moving forward, I think, for your business, that you investigate and consider how you can actually incorporate this into your business. And if you're actually struggling at the moment, it's probably the first thing that I tell people to do. You know, I do get people, particularly after COVID, you know, people saying, I've got no leads, I've got nothing happening, what on earth am I going to do? And they're really concerned that they've got to get online and that they've got to be, you know, buying their audience. But that's not the case. Quite often the case is actually, well, who do you know? Who's already in front of the audience that you want to be talking to, and how can we dress it up so that you're looking really appealing to those people and that they'll let you get in front of their audience. So that's what I want to talk to you about today, and how to do it in a strategic win-win situation for everybody, so everybody's feeling good about it and everybody feels like a winner. So the first step that you really need to do is you need to get clear on what your message is. And I just came off a call earlier with a client of mine today, and he asked me the curly question, you know, what's 2021 hold for you, Melissa? Who do you want to get in front of and who do you want to see? And he's in marketing, so they're the kind of questions he asked. And it was great because I could go straight back to him and say, I want to work with conscious business owners who are doing really great things, disruptive things. They're typically kind of service providers, and they really want to be rock stars of their industry. They want to get in front of as many people as they can, but they've got a really good product, a really good service. They might want to be in the online space with education. They've got a good heart, and they've got a lot of things that they want to be bringing out to their industry, and they're actually changing their industry by their actions. And I want to be part of that journey and that ride. Like, that's very exciting and very meaningful. Now that is a very, very clear example of what you want to be doing in the future. And it's really clear, well, how can I help them? Well, that's easy. I can help them with their marketing material, getting more confident in front of video, creating content, definitely creating their branded material, how they are perceived, coming up with a strategy for them and helping them get in front of the right audiences and making sure all their collateral lines up so it's all really consistent. So when they go out to whoever they want to go out to and do their speaking gigs or get in front of them, that it's a really beautiful, cohesive message. So did you hear what I did? So straight away, I was clear on what I want to do, who I want to be in front of. I was clear about how I can help them so that they understand. And the next thing what I need to be clear about is what pain are they in? Because the thing is, you can have the best offer, but if you can't connect to somebody's pain and actually link them back to understanding that you get them and that you know the pain that they're in, and sometimes you know the pain they're in even better than they do, and you can link your solution, you being the solution, as to what their pain is, and you can go one step further and you can actually get them to believe, because it's true, that you can actually help them get to where they want to get to with the solution that you have to offer. Then you have a foolproof sales method to get in front of these people and actually have them sign up with you and want to do business with you. So it's really important that you take the time, sit down and understand the pain that your audience is in. So using my example again, because it's always best to talk in examples, I want to get in front of business owners really conscious that want to be leaders in their industry, they're disrupting their industry, and they really want to get their message out there and they want to do good things because they're really heart-centered. So potential pain that they're in is that other people, they've shared their voice with other people and they haven't understood what they're trying to achieve. So they maybe have delivered marketing material or content that is just off the mark. It's not really resonating. It's not talking to their audience and it's not getting the cut through because they didn't really understand essentially what they were doing at first. So their pain is a communication with their service providers. Now, another pain using that example could be that they are shy. They've got all the ingredients of being a really excellent pitch to their audience, but they're terrified of getting in front of camera. And that's a really, really typical one for me. I coach a lot of people how to speak on camera. And it's often not coming down to techniques. What I teach is actually coming down to mindset and self-belief and understanding their why and what it is that they bring and helping people kind of then overcome their fear and just bypass their fear because they are so passionate about what they're intensely passionate about that they can overcome the fear and speak about it anyway. So then there's other types of pain. You've got to go really deep. And I've spoken about this in other podcasts where it's first level pain is what I just spoke about then, where it's like there's a discomfort, you know, my current supplier doesn't understand me. They don't listen to me. That's first level pain. Second level pain might be what I just talked about then is I'm shit scared getting in front of a video camera and actually speaking because I got bullied as a kid when I got up and did a public talk and felt really humiliated and have never been able to speak openly ever again. You know, I just like to write everything. I'm a mad blogger, but I just can't speak. That's second level pain because that's creating some distress in the person. But, you know, it's not until you start to get to that third level pain where you really, really start to get the cut through. And third level pain looks like, using that example again, could be, you know what, if I don't get this out of me, if I don't have a go in my industry, if I don't try and get my message across to my industry and help change it, I honestly will feel like I have never, ever really succeeded with what I've done in life. Like, yes, I've hit some major goals, but what I really want to do is be an author of disruption in my industry. I know I can change it. I know I can do it. I have to move past my fear because I really know that I'll have ripped myself off and ripped my industry off and ripped everybody off by not having lived up to myself. And then how will my kids even be able to look at me knowing that I never ever fulfilled my deepest desires to be something in this industry? Now that is third level pain. And when you can really talk to that kind of level of commitment and that kind of level of passion for your audience, that's what I'm talking about when I say find the pain with your audience, with your target audience, speak their language, understand what makes their heart tick, understand the great unspoken of what it is that's stopping them from doing what it is that they should be doing, getting their message out there. So get to the third deep pain in your audience and then communicate that message, and we can package it all up for you in a really lovely looking bio or whatever it is, presentation, but you really need to understand what your core, in layman's terms, in their language, what your core message is, what it is that you need to get across, what it is that you do that makes a difference and lights people up, and how you change lives, basically, whether it's a product or a service that you have. So there's no point even creating a strategic alliance until you absolutely have this bit nailed. And it probably sounds repetitive if you've been listening to a few of my podcasts in the past, because I talk about this a lot, but this is what makes marketing work. So if you have a really, really good handle on who you are, what you stand for, how you help, what your audience's pain is, where they hang out, the language they like to be spoken to in, and communicating your why and your values, and then linking that all up together, you will find sales almost like you don't even have to engage in sales, because people will resonate with your message so much that they just want to come across and work with you because they get you, they vibe on you, and they love you. So that's why it's so important to nail the first bits of it, which is the strategic part of it, isn't it? And this is the bit which most business owners, being proactive people, love to ignore and forget. But this is the bit that you have to connect to. It's so essential. I can't stress it enough. So that's the first two parts of the strategy, is basically getting clear on what your offer is, figuring out your target audience and how they like to be spoken to. The third part is finding the people, whether you know them or you don't know them, who has your audience that will relate to the pain points that you have and relate to your message. Find somebody who already has that audience, and how are you going to pitch to them some kind of thing that you can do with them, either with them or for them, that will make them look good and make them feel like a winner in the long run, that you are helping them with whatever it is that you're offering, and you're also getting in front of your ideal perfect target audience. And if you do this really well, you can get in front of hundreds or thousands or tens of thousands or even more warmed up people that will trust you, know you, like you, and want to do business with you based purely on the fact that you came to them as a recommendation from the source, which is the person that you did the strategic alliance with. So I'll give you a really good example of this. A friend of mine who's also a mentor of mine, but been a friend for a very, very long time, Tina Tower. She's got a really great business, which is called Her Empire Builder. Now, she's had all sorts of different iterations, all sorts of different businesses. She's got credibility like nobody else has got credibility. Grown a national franchise. I think she had 36 franchises that had all bought into her business. She sold it to a major company. You know, she was a Telstra young businesswoman, award winner. Like, she has credibility like you wouldn't believe. So she's really leveraged that, and now she's gone into the online world of creating a membership program where she mentors other women in business, and her vision is to get 100 women to being earning $1 million a year from their online courses and their online material by the year 2025. So it's a huge goal, huge vision. She shares that everywhere. Very, very clear on who her audience is, very, very clear on what her message is and how she can help them. She's got all the credentials in the world behind her. And the way she's grown her audience is she does a lot of stuff online. Yes, she's avid on Instagram and in stories, and her podcast is really successful. She's written books. She's done all sorts of great things off her own bat, but she also recognizes the importance of these collaborations with other businesses and organizations. So she regularly speaks at different industry associations in the business development world, where she comes in and she'll give her services for half a day or a day and do full training to other people's audiences, where she gets to, it might be 1 hour, 2 hours, or could be 6 hours, where she showcases her unique skill sets that she has, and she has absolute credibility with what she does. But she's getting in front of thousands of other people that she wouldn't have gotten in front of in such a warmed up way had she not gone in as an advisor and some sort of consultant and consulted to this audience. Because what she brings to the table is that the people who already have these audiences, they've spent decades building these audiences through the online world and their own speaking events and writing books and just, like word of mouth. So she's fast tracking. She's only been doing her online coaching business for about 2 years. So she's fast tracked getting in front of these audiences by doing all these speaking arrangements and coaching and training for these people. She's piggybacking off decades of warming up of these audiences and bringing these people to the fold, and she's getting right in front of them, and she's getting her opportunity to show her wares and show her skill sets. And then when she makes an offer at the end of that, she's allowed to make an offer. She then gets people into her database, and then she gets them into the email sequence loop where she's regularly emailing them. They might really like her, resonate with her personality, follow her online. And then when the time is right, when she releases one of her courses or one of her programs, that's when she does the full assault out to her audience, which is basically the audience she got from the other strategic alliances audience, and able to bring them in. So it's a really great way to fast track yourself and do things. It's still very organic. She hasn't had to pay for any of this audience, but it's a warmed up organic audience, and it's come off the back of a really tight relationship with the people who actually own that audience, and she's been able to win that spot with them and become like a trusted advisor within that group because she has something of high value to offer that organizer who's looking for people to create great content to share with their audience. So hopefully that makes sense to you. So that's one example of how a strategic alliance can work. She's got knowledge, she's got skills, charisma, she's a genuine values match with them, and she's bringing her information to the table and helping them look good in front of their audience and provide very valuable content to them in all the different areas that she's got. So I'm just wondering, you know, as I give you these stories, I hope that you're actually thinking about, well, how can you do this as well in your own business? You know, what skill sets do you have? Everybody has got their own special, unique blend of the way they do things. Now, I get up and I speak about marketing all the time, and don't think that I have got any more knowledge than a lot of other people. You know, I have got my unique spin on it. I've got my unique delivery. I've got my unique experiences and my unique stories, and I bring that, and that's my point of difference. I've also developed my own thing called connection marketing, which you guys might have heard of, and that's why I've got the Connected podcast, because I come from a very heart-centered place, and I'm very deep about connection and how to actually impact people in a positive way and connect with them personally and really change lives and help people. And that's kind of where I'm coming from. So I can still talk to you all about different sales funnels and different techniques and different ways to do advertising and different ways to do branding and all the different funnels that you can have and different call to actions and different website techniques, different organic search engine optimization. They're all really boring, dry subjects just spoken on their own. But when you inject your personality into those subjects, all of a sudden, and I've called it connection marketing to give it its own name and its own genre, all of a sudden it sounds a lot more interesting and compelling, and it's unique to me, and so I'm the only person speaking about that. And that's what I want to do for you, because that's, I guess, people we get, particularly, you know, if you're Australian listening to this, we're born to be really modest, and we're taught to not ask for too much, not to expect too much. We've got this hideous tall poppy syndrome in this country, which does my head in, where we try not to be too big for our boots, you know. So it's really difficult culturally for us to put ourselves out there. But the whole point of when you're creating these strategic alliances is that you are putting yourself out there. And if you're going with the front foot of helping and assisting and helping people and just helping people in general, it's a great way to get past this tall poppy thing that we worry about. Because if you're going to do a strategic alliance with somebody, you can't just expect them to maybe put an ad in their newsletter or talk about you maybe randomly in one little piece of content and expect that people are going to come flooding to you. It doesn't work that way at all. You still need to build a relationship, hence why I do connection marketing, because it's all about the connection that you create with that human being. They still need to resonate with you. They still need to understand that you are of use to them, that you are able to ease the pain that they have, whatever it is. And sometimes in some businesses, they don't even know that they have pain. They don't even know that it's actually fixable. So it's really important that you can actually highlight to them that their life and their world can be better with the service that you have. So when you're actually coming to these people that you want to do a strategic alliance with or a collaboration, is that you understand the value that you bring and you can demonstrate how you're going to help their audience, because this isn't about just random ads going out there. This is really about helping and assisting people, and that is how you get people come on board, and that's how you develop a fan base, which is literally what you have. Like a database is a fan base if it's any good. You want it to be active. You want to send out an email and you want to get responses back. You don't want to send out an email giving people information and then just receive absolutely zero feedback back. You know, you want to be developing a fan base of people that are connected to you, and it's so great to do that in front of other people's audiences. So that brings us up to point 4, which I've already kind of started talking about because that's how I do things, but it's all about getting in front of those databases and giving them really great content. So you can do all sorts of things. I'll give you some suggestions now. You can do a webinar, and it can be either a joint webinar with the person who has that database, which is actually really cool because that leads to more connection and they can maybe interview you and you can discuss things. Or it can just be where you're actually just running and hosting the webinar yourself. I've done that a lot to different industry associations, particularly around the time of COVID when that hit in 2020. A lot of people wanted to know how to get their businesses online. Industry associations were scrambling, you know, their industry members didn't know how to do that. They were very, very limited in their knowledge. And so as a value add, I got in front of a lot of different industry associations and just did my normal sort of presentations that I would normally do all around online marketing and why you should, what connection marketing is, how to engage with people, what social media you should be doing. And we just had these wonderful webinars where I put it on, and then I won a lot of business that way purely. And I didn't ever ask for the business. I just presented and was myself. People resonated with my message and then came across as a client at a later date. And then it's a really great way. Each time you put on a webinar like that, you, as part of the deal, you might ask for the database. Some people will say no. And then if that's the case, you can either choose to not do it because it has to be something in it for you. Remember I said before, a strategic alliance is a win-win. It's not just where they win and you're just hoping that business comes to you, because it never happens that way. You need to nurture people. It's not, generally people don't buy just from the first go. So you need to get them into your database or fan base, like I was saying. So I always ask for the database of the people that came to the presentation. If they don't do that, then you give some sort of compelling offer right at the very end where you have to get their name and email address to get whatever the freebie is that they get. Now, you have to really weigh it up. You could actually do like a free consultation for people. I think that is looking at the audiences. If you get hundreds of people coming to your webinar, that could really kill your time. So if you were going to be doing free consultations, you'd have to like limit them to maybe 15 minutes or 20 minutes, which is tricky because there's not a whole lot that you can say to somebody in that period of time, but at least they get like a bit of a touchy feel with you and they get a bit closer. But people are a bit awake to it these days, and it's harder to get people to come and do those one-on-one consultations because they know then that you know, a lot of people, you've got to remember that a lot of people are doing these techniques. So there's a lot of unscrupulous people out there who are really damaging the way these things are done, and that they're trying to just sell and pitch to people. So rather than actually giving them information. So, you know, you really want to make sure every time you interact with somebody, you're really helping them and giving them lots of information that's valuable to them, not just pitching. Like you have the honor of being able to pitch at the end, and you're very transparent at the beginning that that's what you're going to do. But yeah, you make sure it's very content rich. It's not just all about flogging a product at people. So webinars is a fantastic one. It's a great one to get in front of other people's audiences. You can, now that hopefully you can get in front of people live, you can actually speak at industry association events, speak at training days, speak at workshops, speak to corporates. I've got a friend who's in the property space and she goes into corporate offices and speaks to the high-level executives and presents to them in their lunch hour. And there's a whole lot of names for that. Like I did one once for the camping industry. It was called a lunch and learn, and it was really successful. If you really want to do it well, you can put the lunch on, or you just turn up and they bring their own lunch and it's held in their workroom, and it's a very informal, you know, half an hour to 40-minute presentation with 20 minutes of question time at the end. And it's a really wonderful way to get in front of high-level corporates that you might never have had a chance to get in front of before. Then there's also, you know, things like you could do the same thing now in COVID times, maybe with a Zoom meeting over a lunchtime break. I mean, people are still looking for that information and that interaction, and you've just got to be creative and think of all the ways that you can bring it to them. So many years ago, I actually did a collaboration or a strategic alliance, whatever you want to call it. I did one with a business coach, and they were really great. We did them in pubs too. I can't remember what we called them, but we went out to both of our databases, and they were like a pub information session. Oh, we had a really cool name for it, whatever it was. And it was really great. So he would talk about, he would speak to a whole lot of small businesses and business owners all about business issues that they would be having and business, different stages of business growth and how to plan. Then I would come in and do the marketing talk. And I did another one with another lady who was a business coach too, when I think about it, and we would get in a third guest speaker, and we did that. We ran those every quarter, and we just have a different third guest speaker. One time it was HR, another time was accounting, you know, and you just keep it specific to something that, you know, your audience is going to really like. And every time you bring in a different speaker, you're pulling into their database. But what I really want you guys to do when you're thinking about collaborating is trying to reach outside of your existing net of or network of people that you have, because we tend to often want to hang out with our friends. So We all have friends in business. So both of these business coaches, like they were my business friends. So we tended to already have a lot of the same database. So you really, really want to reach out and go to industry associations or much bigger networks or people that are running big high-level think tank groups, masterminds, people that have really invested a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of money, a lot of their IP, and have built up super duper big groups of tens of thousands of people, and get on those stages and speak on stages in front of lots of people. Now, this could be freaking a lot of you out because I'm talking so far, I've only given you the strategic alliances, I'm talking about speaking. But I guess that's because I know that's how you can get in front of so many people. But there's lots of other ways you can too. So you can actually marry, if you've got a product-based business, you can marry your business up to somebody else who's like a major retailer in your industry and get your product in with them. Now, I'll give you a good example. So a lot of you might know I've done a lot of work in the past with a camper trailer company, and they were, when we came on board with them, probably about 10 years ago now, they were just one storeroom coming into Sydney to make two big showrooms, I should say. And they had a big vision and a big plan, and they were rolling out to many more around the state. And one of their plans, which we were heavily involved with, was getting their camper trailers, because the way that you do it in the camper trailer industry back then was it wasn't so much online. They had very, very small social media presence. It was very small. It was all about doing it live. They would go to expos and different trade fairs and be exposed all around the country. Now, that costs a fortune when you think about how many teams of people, trucks taking the products, big camper trailers around the country. Literally every weekend in this country before COVID, there was 1 or 2 or 3 different events on that people would come to in the camping industry and buy up. And so this was the norm for this industry for decades. And so what this company did was genius. The owner of the company is a very clever businessman, very shrewd, but very clever businessman. And he thought, well, how can I get in front of people that don't know that they want to go camping? And this is what I was talking to you before about identifying pain, but that not necessarily people know that they're in. So one of the pains that I've identified when I used to do a lot of time with the salespeople for this company was the pain that their people that they sell to is that they miss quality family time with their families. They desperately want to get their kids and their partners off their phones, off their devices, and they just want to have good old-fashioned family holiday time, just like when they were kids. They have beautiful memories of what their own childhoods were like, and that often involved camping and sitting around campfires and riding bikes and just swimming in rivers and fishing and just doing really beautiful bonded things that had nothing to do with electronics. And they would take them places without electricity, so really guarantee that they couldn't do that. And that's an awesome, pain discussion to have with people, and we used to do that at shows. But then, so the owner of the company was like, right, if I get into a company that will bring that audience to me into a whole lot of retail stores, I don't have to set up the retail stores. I can just get my product to the retail stores. So he actually set up a fantastic deal with BCF and Raise Outdoors, because they have all around the country, they've got a ton of different outlets, and they did not have camper trailers in them. So he saw that opportunity, even though his price point wasn't really set up to make a whole lot of money from that. He put his 2 baseline models into those stores through tons of negotiations. The bottom line, he barely, I could be talking out of school here, but I know he didn't make a ton of money from it. But what he did was grow his brand to being absolutely nationwide and on the top of a lot of people's tongues. So when they bought and the way the camper trailer industry works is when you buy in at the base level, you might get it, and for a couple of years you'll hang out in that, and then you kind of like, and the investment is less than $5,000 back in the soft floor days. And I know way too much about camper trailers for any woman, but the entry-level price, you could get into the market with the cheapest trailers back in the day for like $3,000. It was crazy. So you get people in, and they'd realize pretty quickly, like, they loved it, but the setup was laborious, the poles were a pain in the neck, they needed to buy the higher models. Well, you couldn't buy the higher models at BCF, but you could go to the manufacturer and buy from them. So he had created this opportunity for himself where he developed so much brand loyalty and brand awareness with his products at the base level for a few years while he was in the BCF stores and the Raise Outdoors sales stores, that when they then decided they loved camping and started going to the camping outlets, they recognized their brand, that they already had the trailer, and then they would just upgrade and upscale and buy the more expensive, more profitable versions of the same thing. So I was greatly involved in that whole process of helping them win the pitch and putting all the marketing material together and speaking to the audience's pain points. They went to conferences. I was part of all that presentation. So that is a beautiful example of collaborating. That's more of a joint venture. It was a very, very organized thing. It was very contractual. Went through all the solicitors, very, very contractual. It was more than just a handshake deal. But I tell that example to you because it's incredible how we cap our own thinking. Now, he created that opportunity for himself. I don't believe they came to him. I'm pretty sure he created that opportunity, because you have to give yourself the headspace and the mind space in your business to think of these opportunities, because nobody else has. And if we just keep copying everybody else, we're all just same, and we're just all fighting in this very shallow swimming pool of just sameness, and everybody's vying to try and be seen or heard. But if you can create an opportunity through a strategic alliance or a joint venture or a collaboration that nobody else has thought to done, and link your brand to a much bigger brand than yours and get that nationwide or get that global reach, I mean, that is an incredible, exciting opportunity for your business and your brand, and could escalate your business 10 times or 100 times, what it was, just by piggybacking off somebody else's database. And you can see how much this excites me, this stuff. Like, it's it's where it's at. Collaborating, it's very important that you do all the things right with your social media and with your marketing and staying in touch with your database, with your newsletters and being in industry publications if that's what you need to do, and be seen at events. But you need to be having these higher level thoughts about looking around you and just thinking, are they in my industry or not in my industry? But who can I partner with that's got a much bigger audience than mine, but they have the same pain points that need addressing that I can help them with, and then partner with them and catapult your business in front of everybody in the industry and give you a point of difference like no other. So other ways you can also do strategic alliances and joint ventures can be, and this is something that people don't think of, is putting together written material. You have probably released a whole lot of blogs over the past years, and it's really good content. You might put it on social media, up on your website, then it goes nowhere. So, create some PR for yourself and actually look for some kind of industry magazine or an online magazine or something that you can be contributing to on a weekly or monthly basis, and repurposing all of your old content and giving it to them, and repurposing it, giving it more of a catchy headline or making it a little bit more relevant, just shaking it up a bit and making it relevant to their industry. And again, that can be another really warm way. You could get a regular guest spot every month in somebody's publication and do some kind of joint venture that way. So too often we want to look at the short-term game. We want to be like, right, okay, so I've just spent 3 hours writing this article and sent it off to such and such, and I didn't even get paid. Or you can look at, well, I just spent 3 hours and got this article off to such and such, and their readership is 50,000 people, and I've got a link directly back to my website. And if I was really clever, I'd have some kind of call to action, even just loosely, subliminally put in there, and then I would have people go to my website, and then on my website I'd have a call to action, that links back to that article on there, which they click on, and then you get their name and their email address. And if it's really good what you've done, they might even contact you straight away. So it's really all about getting people into your database, expanding that reach, doing more business over time with the people that are coming, that you get an opportunity to nurture and grow with you. It's not about the first hard sell. It's about keeping people for the long haul. The more you can get your message in front of people that is a warmed up audience, and that's why I talk a lot about this, strategic alliances and the collaborating, the better off it's going to be for you and the more useful your time spent. So if you're writing a blog that just goes out to, say you've got 1,000 people in your database, it just goes out to 1,000 people and maybe 2 people share it. Or you might put it on Facebook and you might boost the post, or you might put a bit of an ad around it. It might go out to another couple of thousand people. But typically that's just a cold kind of thing. And then you do that repetitively. Yes, it has some good traction, but you could take that same article, repurpose it and write it specifically for a niche industry, write it specifically for that particular audience. And again, talk to their pain, talk about how your solution, give them the, tips, give them meaningful information. You can go out to far more thousands of people that then develop a relationship with you based on the fact that you came through to them warm from a brand or person that they already know, like, and trust. So that's why collaboration, if you haven't already cottoned on, is definitely the way that we need to be moving forward with our businesses, not doing everything in isolation and solo, but really looking to partner with other people and do great things together. So last thing I want to share with you is how to use your time really well over this next little break that you were going to be having is just jot down on a piece of paper the first thing that I talked about, which is what your core offer is. Second thing I want you to jot down, draw a big circle, put it in the center, is who your target audience is and where they hang out, what the demographics of them are. And then around that, I want you to draw a whole lot of other little circles and then write in there. So for instance, I'll use the example of an accountant because I'm working with an accountant at the moment and we've done this activity with him. So he's an accountant. He wants to get out to high-level entrepreneurs with a high net worth. They might have multiple businesses. They've got a lot of financial concerns. They're really good at managing money and stuff, but they really want to go the next level and they want to have incredible support from an accounting firm that has other links and networks around them that can give them the support that they need. So that's, and their pain is that the current accountant they have, they've outgrown them and they're not listening to them, they don't hear them, they don't return their call, or they're too small, they go to a city firm, whatever, you know, the pain is. So get really clear on that, put it in the center of your circle. And so this is the person that you want to attract. That's like your A-type avatar. Then around the outside of the circle, we want to put down, well, who knows these people? Who do I know and who are people I can get in touch with? So on the right-hand side, you might put, okay, so people in my business network, I know, you know, different lawyers, I know different, you know, finance people, financial advisors, I know bookkeepers. Bookkeepers could be a great one. And then you list down all the bookkeepers that you know, you list down all the finance people that you know, you list down all the solicitors and lawyers that you know, because they've all got the same kind of audience. Then you start to go even more sideways. It's like, well, who else do I know, you know, who's like these people? Who are other entrepreneurs that I know that might get me in touch with these people? So you start thinking about people in your local area. It could be the local politician. It could be a local person that runs a local networking group. It could be a person that runs a national networking group. You know, you start thinking a lot more sideways about how you're going to get in front of these people and get to them. You know, maybe in their spare time, a lot of these people own boats. So it could be, well, actually, you know what, I've got a client that runs a marina. Who does that person know? You know, maybe they've got typical people, you know, maybe I could be talking to a different industry association for that person. Maybe they have this incredible interest in all these people. You do the stats and find out they all play golf. So you get in front of different golfing associations and get to them that way. I've heard of all sorts of incredible things where people try to set up, where they try to get in front of high-level people where they found out that such and such was flying from here to there on a particular flight and they actually bought a ticket in first class to be on the same flight in the same plane and then weaseled their way next to that person and then sat next to them for the whole plane trip and talked to them and pitched their idea. I've heard of other things where people found out that a high-level entrepreneur that they needed to get in front of played a particular type of sport. So they went and learnt that sport, got really proficient at it, and then somehow found themselves in the same area playing the same sport, and they were good at it, and they teamed up together and played and they got an opportunity to talk. Like, people go to levels to meet the right kind of people. Now, I'm not saying you need to become stalkerish, but who do you know? And who do you know that knows somebody? Like, really start to, that's why I do it in circles, because then from outside those circles, you go, well, you know what, I actually know this person who actually knows that incredibly well-connected person. How can I link them? How can I offer something of service to that person to get in front of that person to offer something of service to their audience, you know? And it could take you a period of time to pull this off, but it can be really worth your time. And that's why you need to map it out. You need to really strategically figure this out, how you're going to get in front of people. You've heard this saying, I think there's 6 degrees of separation between every single human on the planet. You know, I don't know if that's true or not, but there is somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody, you know, and you can work it out. And that's when LinkedIn becomes really good too, as a useful tool for you. Now, I hate the way people just private message everybody on LinkedIn. It is so impersonal. I don't pay attention to anybody now because we've been flooded by it. So don't do that technique. That technique sucks. But you can use the premium level of LinkedIn, do the research, find the people, run the searches on who it is at sort of that management level that you need to be talking to. Then just pick up the phone and make the connection, or look at who their friends are. And if you know somebody in that list, pick up the phone, ring them and get them to make the connection. But always look at the value that you give. That's why we have to go back to the original steps. And what is the value? What is the win-win in this for that person? What's the win-win in it for you? It has to be a very even exchange. It can't be just them giving to you, because quite frankly, they won't. There's no need to. And they get asked for stuff all the time. You've got to be unique, and you've got to really understand the value that you bring, because we all bring value, and then pitch it to them in the right way. So I hope you've enjoyed today's podcast. This is something I'm very passionate about. It's also something that I can help you with in your business if you like. I do marketing strategy sessions and planning days with clients, but I can also just do a specific strategic alliance strategy session, a much shorter session with you if that's what you want. And it can really catapult you from being kind of in limbo and just talking to the same old people with the same old message, and get you right out there in front of a much larger audience, the type of audience that you can only dream of. And it all comes down to just getting the strategy right, pitching it right, and getting in front of the right people, and the rest will look after itself. So I hope you enjoyed the podcast. Please subscribe, and I would love the love, and share it on with people if you think it's of high value. I'm all about connection, and I'm all about connecting people to the right people and people to the right information. So if you think this is good, please share it. I really appreciate it, and I will see you in the next podcast episode.